Hello? Hello, Jeff. Yeah. Look, I've got problems tomorrow. I've got to get the pictures to the academy and I'm going to need some help with transport. And I was wondering if you could help me with a van.
One of 3,500 painters who submitted themselves this summer to the ordeal known as the Royal Academy Summer Exhibition. To be accepted and hung here is to be one of the chosen. At the end of March, artists all over the country began moving with hope towards Burlington House, a widow from a small village in Oxfordshire, a draftsman from Taunton in Somerset. There's the wife of the Lord Chancellor from Gray's Inn. There's a policeman off duty from his beat outside Buckingham Palace. There's a leather cutter from Bethnal Green in the East End. And there's a youth worker from Stepney. On the way up from Taunton, the draftsman's minibus has broken down twice, but he's finally made it to the academy.
No, you can't come here, so it's around the back in Burlington Gardens. Very sorry. How to get there? Yes, well, you've got to go outside this gate, right? You turn left. You got the top of Piccadilly there. You turn around to Regent Street. The second traffic lights, right? You turn left. You straight down the road. You turn left again by the police station. Straight the way down, and you turn right. And you see the back of this building. Right. All right.
Thanks anyway for your help. I'll try.
Push it up. All right. Bye-bye. Okay, thank you.
After 4 hours on buses from Oxfordshire, Mrs. Wilson is nearly there.
Chief, what are you doing here?
I'm trying to get to the Royal Academy. I got to the front and they told me I was going to go to the back. Yes, I realised that, but I can't unload the paintings here.
Well, can't they let you in here?
They've let me in there and they've turned me out again.
Do you know the way around the outside?
He gave me instructions, but your guess is as good as mine. There's police stations and lefts and rights.
There's a back entrance, but it's all one-way streets.
If you go around there, you come to the back of the National Ethnographic Museum, the Museum of Mankind, and that runs through. You can go directly through the National Museum of Mankind to the National Gallery.
Excuse me, don't we the back of the Royal Academy is, do you?
The back of it?
Sorry, you can't bring that on here. Take it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I've got to go round there?
Now, wait a moment. If you go into Oxford Street, down New Bond Street and along there, so it's simple. Let's go. I don't think with it.
If you find it, give us a shout.
You're looking for the Royal Academy as well, are you?
Well, we passed the damn thing once. As far as the compass is concerned, it's certainly in this direction.
At the Admiralty chart-making office in Somerset, in a sea of drawing boards, the man with the minibus, Brian Parsons, has laboured for 25 years on the small print of the oceans, endlessly replotting the buoys and the sandbanks. Inside the draftsman, there's a painter struggling to be free. 2 a.m. The light and the record player in the garden shed where he paints are still on, as usual. Brian Parsons paints like other people breathe. He dreams of becoming a professional. If he can get into the academy, that might be a start. He must choose the paintings to enter very carefully.
Coke can? I'm positive about that one, I'm absolutely sure. I think the riverbank. And the nude. Just a bit of alteration of the foot, I think that's the one.
I prefer this to that.
Well, it's you've got to take a choice. You've got so much time and so much to paint. So I work on this area and the head. And there's less work needed on that to finish it to the standard I'd like to get it than that.
Dan Jones's reason for painting and for submitting his work to the Academy is that he wants to make people think.
Well, if you get a picture in there, 50,000 people walk past it, and that's sort of quite a good way of communicating with the public, really. So I've been lucky in the past and got one or two in, and some of them have been about on quite political subjects, and that's pleased me very much. That painting a big trade union demonstration, which I did, like when the Dockers were in Pentonville, that everybody from Lord Featherdown came and saw that one, and that gave me a great deal of pleasure. One of the problems with paintings is you do one painting, that's it. If you write a book, then people do 10,000 editions of your book, and 10,000 people read the book. With one picture, unless you got it in a public building or on a wall somewhere, like in a tube station where everybody walks past it, it's on a private individual's private wall and nobody sees it. So why an exhibition is good for me, and why reproductions of pictures that are cheap are important, is that you can share something with a great deal of, a large number of people, rather than a very private personal object. I mean, I don't like that. I'm not painting for somebody's private art object to store in a bank. Not that mine are that valuable, but that kind of way of thinking about things. The sort of painting I do is like knitting, really. And you just carry on, you know, knit, purl one, plain one. Just once you know what you're going to do, you just work it through, start at the bottom and work up. So it's not like, once you've got the structure right, then you just fill it up. So it don't matter what's going on, you sit down and paint, haul the children out the paint and carry on. I do it at night mostly, and Sundays sometimes.
But what about the whole business of the easel and the north light and the proper facilities and all that?
Well, I haven't really worked out how to use easels. They fall down when I use them.
Police Constable Ted Chicken keeps the crowds tidy outside the palace and paints immaculate studies of wildlife. He only began painting 4 years ago, but he's already had work accepted by the Academy and won himself patrons in high places.
I had the good fortune for Her Majesty the Queen to see my pictures, or some of my pictures. She saw them and she told His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, who asked to see them, and they in fact both saw them together. I was very pleased to say that they purchased 5 of them.
This year, his hopes of being shown at the Academy ride on 3 studies, all executed with great precision: a bird of prey, a weasel, and this spotted flycatcher. Like most people who try for the Academy, Mrs. Elfie Wilson, a widow of the parish of Beckley in Oxfordshire, began her painting in amateur art classes.
When I first went to art school, they made me draw a face, and I put just, you know, round and nose and mouth as I thought. And it was terrible. I looked at it and I knew it was terrible. And I came home and I really cried. I waited till I got home and then I had a good cry, because I didn't think I'd ever be able to do a face.
Mrs. Wilson's painting is partly a defence against loneliness. Her husband died 2 years ago. Mrs. Wilson views life from an innocent, even a naive standpoint. Last year, she saw Paris for the first time.
We went round the back streets to get our dinner at night. And I saw these young ladies in the doorway, you know, and I sort of remembered them because they were standing there, you know. The one in white, yes, well, she had long boots on, and the other one was very fetching, you know.
There are always people in Mrs. Wilson's pictures, and they are never alone. She's also submitting schoolgirls having a picnic, and this one of a Welsh pub. Mrs. Wilson started painting seriously only 2 years ago, but it's literally changed her life.
I feel that I must get out of the house So I go three times a week to painting, and that takes me out. And since I started, I find that, well, I've made friends, and there's so much more I find now that it becomes, the day is full, you know. And I come home at night and I can tolerate the house now.
Taplow Johnson has been finishing his picture and he's late for work.
Hello, you getting away, Tim? Back your ideas up. Look, I'm sorting this pattern out here, Pintex. Now remember to get the patterns right and everything else and you'll be okay. You've got about 40 to cut. I'll give you size 44s, okay? I want you to cut 10 44s, 10 42s, 10 40s and 10 38s. And that'd be a lot.
Taplow's in all kinds of trouble. He's threatened with prison if he can't pay a magistrate's fine, he's homeless and he's in debt. Piecework, cutting suede coats, is one way to make money. Painting could turn out to be another. In 2 rooms in this East End tenement, he squats with his wife and the baby. To keep the bailiffs from the door, Taplow really needs to sell a picture. He taught himself, and this is the first time he's put paintings into the academy.
One I put in for the simple reason it was £4 whether you put 1, 2 or 3 in, so I put 3 in, might as well get your money's worth. If they sold, right, in the Royal Academy, the ones that are in the Royal Academy, if they sold, that'd get me out of debt for a start. That'd pay the debts up, that'd start me off on a clean slate, I'm level with everything. Plus if I got some work for that, because of the Royal Academy, that'd be nice, you know, I'd like that. To be commissioned to do a few paintings, but I'd much rather paint what I want and then be able to sell them.
Almost Home shows his father's flat. Taplow lived there between children's homes. And another of his bids for solvency is African Snapshot.
Once you get in debt, it's really hard to get out of it, I think, because I've got a home to build here, right? I've got a kid now, and there's Leslie, and she's stuck by me, and I've got to try and make something of for her. And as soon as you get some money, it's got to go into debt. Or, you know what I mean? I'll get out of it one day, I must. You know, I won't always be living like this, but it's very hard to sort of catch up and then start on a clean slate, if you understand what I mean.
Hellen Ganley is painting only one type of person at the moment. On the streets of Oxford, she's developing a personal vision that centres entirely on traffic wardens.
One of the things that interested me about traffic wardens was that they were always so terribly formal. They have to be formal. And I had a very strong desire to put them in an informal situation. And I thought of the most extraordinary things that could happen to traffic wardens, and sort of being included in beauty competitions and sort of bathing bells produced the painting called Tribute to Busby Berkeley. But the absolutely peak of this particular series is only in my head still, and a very small rough sketch, which is to paint them on a trampoline, because I decided that on a trampoline they'd been absolutely out of control.
By the end of March, they're all in London with their hopes of success at the back door of the Royal Academy. 11,000 pictures, all hope and confusion.
Where do we go now? Where do we go? I don't know. Where do we go? Somewhere over there, I think. Come through here.
Responsibility as being our friends.
So what do you suggest they do?
He said I wasn't supposed to bring it up with glass on.
I said, just find out for anyway.
I asked the man at the office when I got the entrance.
Is it black and white, isn't it? Okay, I'll find out for you.
No, but
I don't take it. You have to give it to the men, where they take the paintings.
Where's that?
behind you. Anyone of you?
Oh, I've come too far. The way you toss them around, my goodness, those are my 3, dear, and there's my thing. Just filled in. It's a lot of scratchy out, but it's more or less all right.
Okay, yeah.
I hope so. There we are, dear. 1, 2, 3.
Just take. Yeah, I'm just taking it.
Oh, thank you ever so much.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I have your name and address in those 2 boxes there, please?
Oh, although there's only one entry.
Although there's only 1 entry, yes.
I see. Okay.
I thought never again, you know. Oh. Anyway.
Hellen Ganley has arrived between 2 of her traffic wardens. Outside, Brian Parsons has finally found the place and blocked the entrance with his minibus. He'll have to move it.
Should have a good chance of getting it, actually.
Do you think so?
I should say so, yeah, the way things are
Well,
going.
how many watercolours are going to be
No
seen?
idea, actually. It's just, you can't tell really. It's not sort of a set thing, you know.
Cut it.
Do you want to save the string?
We do really, that's why I'm trying to... Only it's so difficult to get this thick stuff.
Mrs. Wilson's brought her 3 pictures, but like a lot of painters, when they first see the competition, she almost wishes she hadn't.
Do you feel confident about them?
Not at all, I feel awful.
And Brian Parsons has finally managed to park the minibus.
Excuse me. I've got to hand them in to you.
Yeah.
Is that correct? I've got all the forms and necessary things here. All right.
Dan Jones got his football crowd painting finished just in time. He can be more optimistic than some. He's had a lot of work accepted in past years. They say that if you could explain a picture in words, there'd be no need to paint it. But even artists sometimes ask other artists, what does it mean?
Washington, where does that come into it?
That's a portrait of George Washington. If you look from about 15 or 20 feet back, it's sort of further, it gets more photographic the more you step back.
And this one is my daughter showing a horse, Capriziana.
I want to get that. I want to like anything because that stemmed from, I don't know, it's the first picture I painted which was expressing an emotion. Before that, I've always copied things and I've been dominated by the subject.
This is a setting of the sun in Kingsbridge Estuary. But if there was a definite cross in the water, because I painted a smaller one first, and then I got the message to paint Jesus Christ there. And incidentally, there's a man who's sponsoring me to the extent of £75. He's given me a cheque for 30 to get me to London and back, and I'm staying at Norfolk Court Hotel, Hyde Park, and the bed and breakfast is £3.50.
This one, actually, I got... it took me about an hour and a half, but I got so disappointed with the final product that I sort of daubed it with a J-cloth and poured various thinners and things on it, and you know, it sort of turned out like this. I'm quite sort of pleased with it, really. It's and it's come out looking rather like snow. But I left it for 2 weeks, and I really didn't think it was anything was going to happen. So I hope you're going to take care of it. You know, it's really rather precious to me.
They're all precious to someone, but what will the selection committee upstairs think? In the first sifting, 8,500 pictures are going to be rejected. In the end, only 1 out of every 11, so hopefully submitted, will find a spot on the Academy's walls.
I should imagine the selection committee are old people, because I read something about the members of the Royal Academy, Royal Academicians being old, and you've got to be over 60 or something to get in, you know?
No. 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 No.
The president of the Academy is the architect Sir Hugh Casson.
No. Skyscape? No.
For a painting to get through, it has to earn 3 votes.
Oh, Lord. It's only got 2, so it isn't in.
Mrs. Wilson's Paris scene gets an X for rejection. Then comes her picnic.
This hasn't gone next.
Picnic? 2 votes for picnic. Any more? No.
And then her last hope, the pub scene.
Anybody like that? No. Nude?
Brian Parsons' nude goes out. Then come his other 2.
Oh, Coke tin. Anybody in favour of Coke tin? Not really. How about the grass coming up?
2 down, only the grass to go.
Not for those flowers. No, I thought that had gone, sorry. I'm for grass.
D means it's made it. Strange though it is, D stands for doubtful, but it means they've got through to the next stage.
Sunset, no. 2 bridges, neither through.
Next comes the first attempt done with a J-cloth in just an hour and a half.
That little funny little thing? No? I just... Nude? No.
Now comes young Taplow Johnson's first entry.
Well, I think that's all right. I'd vote for that. No.
Next comes another of Taplow Johnson's.
How about that?
2 through on a first attempt.
Good portrait? Yes, I think. Don't know. Who painted that? Oh, Walter.
The first of the traffic wardens.
1.
Would you like that? Any votes down that end? No, failed.
In spite of their humour, none of the traffic wardens has got through.
3.
Not bad, is it? Quite like that.
It's Constable Ted Chicken's bird of prey. All 3 of the policeman's pictures get through.
1 for this so far. Portrait? No. Pony Club? No. No. No.
Years of work dismissed at a glance.
It is cruel, but most of us, in fact, are teachers. And we spend a great deal of our time looking at portfolios of students as they arrive at art school and as they leave, trying to examine them. And we get, I suppose you can call it, a fairly quick eye for talent.
The rejected works go back downstairs to wait till their owners come and collect them.
Dear Sir, I would like to mention my dissatisfaction with the rejection of my paintings by the selection committee this year. I do not consider that the standards of painting at the Royal Academy justify this, as the types of painters displayed in the summer exhibitions have been extremely wanting in authentic qualities in recent decades.
Dear Sir Hugh, for the 4th year running, I have received a rejection ticket for my picture submitted to the summer show. I cannot tolerate this anymore without making my feelings known. This painting, I felt, was the best I have ever submitted to the Royal Academy. I cannot submit to this yearly insult of implying that my work is not good enough.
Dear Sir, I received your card in tears this morning, as all 3 of my pictures were rejected. After spending quite a lot of money on framing and travelling from the north to London, I would very much like to know the reason why my pictures were not acceptable.
If the Academy is an insult to some, to others it can be bread and butter. The Royal Academicians themselves, men like Teddy Wolfe R.A., are allowed to have 6 pictures hung, come what may.
Sometimes I sell them all, sometimes I don't sell any. This, I suppose, will be about 800. But it ought to be very much more. When, after all, I'm 79, and this is a picture that I've spent at least 50 years acquiring, if I have any talent, or developing it. And it cost a lot of money to do that, and a lot of suffering and whatnot.
He's an RA, so he can be pretty sure that whatever he paints, they won't reject him.
They could turn it down for anything, but they couldn't turn it down for me. I'd have to be slightly indecent now, because that's the privilege of being an RA or an ARA. And I don't think you could find anything, although people have, odd about this picture. They've been very, very nice to me. It's the nicest club that I've ever belonged to. It's the nicest group of people. It's unbelievably nice.
The final hurdle is the hanging. 2,000 pictures have got past the selection board. Soon, fewer than half that number are going to be left. Pairs of academicians are given a room each and a batch of possible pictures to hang in it. They'll only choose the ones they like and those which they think will go well together.
I think that'll make a lovely little row, I really do. Now, we've got this huge bird thing to deal with.
What, the magpies or something?
Do you think, John, that there's...
We can really almost take no notice, just make another line
just sort of go.
Gypsy dream. Ah, how about that? Eh? Is that the sort of dream you have? Well, you know, I wish about it sometimes. You know, you can only hope, can't you? Well, it's a maybe, isn't it? I think it's a maybe.
So we let them sort it all out, and when they've got it on the wall, we all come along and we make criticisms, and we perhaps would make suggestions. I think too many cooks very often spoil the broth, and so I like to distribute the people, the hangers, into various rooms, giving them perhaps 2 or even 1 might hang a room, and then we all go back and talk about it.
Is that an owl or a hawk?
It's a hawk.
Not an owl. A hawk.
Hawk. I think it's a lovely thing.
Constable Chicken's bird was on and off the wall 20 times.
As a matter of fact, there's an awful lot of owls given into the Academy, and a lot of cats, and you have to sort of, in the end, find the best owl and the best cat, really.
And we're both people who like owls and cats.
Yes,
so
we do.
We're prejudiced in favour of the animals and slightly in favour of the artists who do them, you see. So you have to be pretty strict.
It will.
The J-cloth instant masterpiece is still just in the running, and Brian Parsons' close-up of grass has a good chance. It's near to the wall.
What about this one? What do you feel about that? Oh, I think that the colour of that one, actually, and the tone.
The main reason why Dan Jones' football scene doesn't make it seems to be simply that the shape is wrong for the room. It seems unfair, but in the experience of Jim Fitton, R.A., it's nothing to what can happen behind the august facade of the Academy.
One year, when I was the chairman of the hanging, and 2 people I hung, was one, it was the first time I had hung John Bradbury, and the other person I hung was a man called Peter Blake, both now incidental members of the Academy. But in those days, they were very, very cookie characters, you see, and I put these on the wall, and when I'd finished the room, at the end of about a week, I went to help in the other rooms. The following morning when I came round, I found that these 3 paintings had been taken down. So I thought, that's a bit thick, and 3 very indifferent paintings had been put in their place. So I searched for the painting, my original painting, and I couldn't find them. I got some assistants, and 4 assistants and myself went through all those stacks, and we found them hidden away in a room miles away, you see. So I put them back. This happened 3 successive mornings. And on the 4th morning, I thought, well, it's silly to go on doing this. So I waited until the last day until the morning of the takeover, when the Academy Council come round. And then I quickly put my paintings back, and I was on the council, and then came around with the president of the council, and the room was accepted. But I afterwards discovered that it was old Munnings, the president, who had crept round in the dead of night.
And they said, I'm not having a...
He couldn't bear these paintings. He couldn't bear Bradley's. So he took them down, didn't say anything to anybody, and put his friends up. He did it 3 successive times.
A fairly astounding piece of news has reached Bethnal Green.
Yeah, 2 of the paintings are hanging, Dad, in the Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Do you want to sit down?
No, sit down, Dad, sit down. One got rejected, Les, and 2 are in.
How long that will be?
What do you mean, for the exhibition?
Yeah.
How long is it on?
Yeah.
May, June, July? No, 3 months. 3 months. But you can sell them there as well.
Oh.
You can sell them, I'll put price. When the exhibition opens, May the 1st, the 8th, right?
Yeah.
We'll go up there. We'll get a cab, me, you, Solvi, Mick, Janet, and friends. Whoever want to come up there, we'll go up there, see? But I think this ticket makes me get me and Leslie in. No, not paying, right? Everybody else has to pay, but that's all right, isn't it? What's the date? Friday, Monday, I've got to go up there, right?
Monday.
And that's for artists only. And they give you dinner, you know what I mean? So I'll go and eat with all the other artists.
The day when Taplow Johnson goes to lunch at the Academy is known as Varnishing Day. Originally, it was the time when painters came to retouch their work before the opening. It's said that Turner used to repaint his pictures entirely if they didn't go with the ones on either side. But nowadays, it's only a few perfectionists who actually do any work on Varnishing Day. This painter is gilding a frame, but he needs static electricity in the brush so that it'll pick up the gold leaf.
Can I have some more of your electric spark? No.
The static in his hair is running rather low, so he collects some from a rather puzzled passer-by.
Please don't think I'm in Greece, but you know, everybody has a certain amount of that to keep your hair healthy.
Next to arrive for lunch, Brian Parsons.
They have Varnishing Day, which is a great laugh, and they have a lunch there. It's a buffet lunch, and some people get the food, and you'll see that, and then some people don't actually get any food at all, and you see them wandering around trying to understand what's going on and when they should start grabbing. There are a lot of those people that don't belong to any of the cliques. They don't know anybody. They feel embarrassed. They wander around with a blush, permanent blush on their faces.
Constable Ted Chicken stays on the fringe. Brian Parsons, in a new suit, is finding it hard to get any food.
Excuse me, love.
It just isn't me at all. You know, I don't mind painting pictures, but I really, I'd rather not have, all of this that goes with it.
Why not?
It just isn't me. This isn't me at all.
I'm thinking of the little boy.
Oh, yes, perhaps we ought to do it before he goes.
Go and find him, make sure.
Yes, do that.
I'm allowed 6, and I bloody well got 16.
Taplow's still rather on the outside.
I thought Ivyll must be very, very expensive.
But Brian Parsons has been nobbled by a clique of miniaturists.
But miniaturists have been using it since 1700, and it's a shame to think that it's dying out now.
Oh, James, my dear.
Somebody just came up to me and said, "Oh, I know you so well, Mr. Mornington."
Marvellous. I didn't know you were dead.
I'm not quite sure that I'm still alive. I'm told one of my pictures is already sold.
Well, I'm not surprised. No, which one?
The Lowry's funeral.
2 days later, the Academy prepares for the social pinnacle of its year, the dinner which opens the summer exhibition, when prestigious guests will dine amongst the paintings. This is Peter Blake, an academician who's something of a bull in the Academy china shop. He's organised a room of work by specially invited painters, and he's brought in top sellers like David Hockney, Alan Jones and Kittai, who've never shown here before. Blake himself paints nudes like this one that sell for thousands and would startle your grandma. By bringing in other painters who already make big money and have their own places to show, he's upset some of the struggling artists for whom the summer exhibition is the only chance to show their work. But the storm blows over and dinner is served. The Duke of Gloucester wears white tie and the Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order. The President wears something he designed himself.
Right across, please, Bill. Right across, not even here. Thank you. Thank you. Two slices. Two slices. Two slices, lady. Two slices, dear. Two slices, dear.
Your Royal Highnesses, my Lord Chancellor, Your Excellencies, Your Grace, my Lords, ladies and gentlemen, pray silence, please, for your President.
Your Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, this year's summer exhibition, opening on Saturday, is the latest and I think genuinely really one of the best in an unbroken series that has continued, believe it or not, despite wars and revolutions and national crises of every kind since 1768. Now, we're very proud of this continuity.
The crumbs have been swept away. It's opening day.
I think the summer exhibition is the most important aspect of the Academy. Big exhibitions are really a thing of the past. But the summer exhibition, which embraces everybody in the provinces everywhere, is a marvellous chance for any completely unknown character to make his name. Because after all, the dealers may condemn the Academy because, you know, they make nothing out of it. But they come round and they pick people out. So I think to lose the Academy would be a tremendous shame, because it's the only solitary exhibition that's absolutely an independent exhibition, takes no commission, and is the best gallery in Europe. Absolutely, undeniably. And to get on the walls of the Academy is not only a very marvellous thing to do for the painter, but it's the best sale room in Europe.
Most of the dealers come in the first couple of hours, but even then they may be too late.
Where is number 400?
Number 400, oh my God. Me?
Of you?
It's not this gallery.
396.
It's not that gallery. I tell you what is rather nice about mine. They've all been sold before the thing opened and bought by the porters.
Oh, how nice.
The red dot means sold. This year, £150,000 worth of pictures were sold at the summer exhibition. Ted chickens were all bought.
Wait, you come over here. You have to look at this. Yes, I like her boots. Really funny, they're really big. She's got such a small head and such big long legs.
I think the Prince Charles over there is too, I mean, you come in and you just see the profile.
Yes, I'm afraid he's lost over there.
Nobody actually sees him.
Don't like that at all. No. I suppose it's tomorrow they have all the pictures. Yes, I think so. But I haven't finished. The journey wasn't long enough. It's been a very good Bernard Levin article about the festival hall and the concert of the artists for 25 years. I couldn't believe it. I didn't bring my big half an hour before I shipped away.
Interesting. I think pictures are they're like animals. You have to stalk them in a funny sort of way, you know.
To make sure you
there
see
comes a
what
point,
you see.
when you get back from here, there comes a sort of point when it suddenly becomes different.
But we didn't think anything to the one which was just in the corner there, and it seems to be various shades of pink.
Nice painting.
Yeah, it looks nice though, doesn't it?
Nice, yeah.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
You liking it?
Yeah, it looks nice.
Reckon it's going to sell?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know, I think it's got a good chance.
Going to go and have a look at the other one?
Yeah.
Come on, have a look at the other one. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I'll take it.
Sad to say, neither of Taplow Johnson's pictures do sell. He'll have to find another way to pay his debts.
There's the other one.
Yeah.
It's not there, is it?
Yeah, I like this one.
That's good position, you know. That's where they come on the line, see? It's not high and it's not low, it's right in front. It's good position.
Every bit there, every bit. It's there, every bit.
That's good position for that.
Yeah, this one.
We couldn't understand what it meant at all. It didn't seem, well, worthwhile having in one's room, I should think.
That's a big south. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Quietly proud, Brian Parsons, the chart maker from Somerset, takes his family to see his first work to be hung at the Academy.
Hello. Hello.
How are you doing?
Let's come over here, Sean. Do you like that?
Yeah.
That's super, isn't it? Like that, Cyril. One on the horse. Beautiful, isn't it? There's Liz Frink stuff, drawings over there. We come have a look at those in a second. Now it's into the miniatures now. We're moving to the miniature area.
Can you see it?
It's got a red spot on it.
Yeah, I'll give you one. You sold it! Terrific!
That's gone quick, hasn't it?
Oh, congratulations. How much for? I don't know.
Oh, 75.
75?
I think so.
75? Definitely extra pocket money. Definitely.
The patterns you don't like, do you? No, I don't like those really at all. I don't like the patterns very much. Don't really like abstract art.
I think all the painters must be colourblind. I mean, just look at the colour of this wall
Yes.
these pictures are hanging on.
It's
I mean,
true.
I'd run screaming after this place.
But I do think Princess Anne's portrait is beautiful. Excellent. It's almost as if she's going to come out of the picture and speak to you.
I say that lot of 6 so-called pictures look to me as if somebody's taken a 12-bore gun and stood at about 10 or 15 yards and let drive at them. I personally wouldn't give the price of a 6.5 stamp for any of them. I think it's worse than usual, and I come every year.
I like all this. These are people around her. That's the lady. I wonder what that is there.
The grown-ups tend to look anywhere but here, but the children are fascinated.
The best bit I like is that.
Where Eve would have worn a fig leaf, Peter Blake's nude wears a flower.
And the flower in his bottom. Flower.
This is the room that all the controversy has been about.
Oh, yes. And did you hear him, Cassie, talking about it this morning on
Yes, he defended himself, actually.
I wasn't very disappointed when I heard that the pictures had been rejected from the Royal Academy. I think I would have been pleased and surprised if they had been accepted. I'd always regarded the Royal Academy exhibition as a bit of a gamble, and I suppose I never really believe in investing a lot of emotion in a gamble.
When you don't get your pictures in, you think the pictures aren't good enough and that you've failed, and I'm unbearable for several weeks. I don't talk to anybody and go into a black gloom, and no doubt thousands of other people do the same.
Everyone must be hurt if they tell the truth, if they do. Yes, they must be. But then there's tomorrow, isn't there? You start again tomorrow, and yes, I'll do that. I'll make something different now.